Jerry Luker, and he's describing a lot that we're looking at here, possibly moving a mobile home in. And Jerry, if you would be so kind to describe, the parameter you were just describing to me on the corner and the pedestal here, which is the electrical pedestal. Here's our lot. Got a house next door. We've got that parallel fence. Bush probably needs trimming, and kind of an unusual driveway situation, and then another bush right here that we're going to have to deal with. But what would you be thinking about in terms of the initial placement and the positioning on this lot, Jerry?
Well, we have something to go off for start, which is your power pedestal, because the home is generally installed right next to this power pedestal within a couple of inches of the actual skirting, and that's usually in the rear of the home, somewhere near what is generally the back door, and the side of the house will be sitting right between your main water on and off and the inside water on and off. The sewer connection is underneath the house, and the cleanouts in the exterior of the house. So the one wall of the house will be going right between these items right here along the power pedestal. So what we're looking at is, when we set it, if we have a little bit of wiggle leeway here as far as the actual angle of the home sitting on the lot, which when you extend that out 60 feet, an inch or two here could be 3 or 4 feet. And sometimes you don't know the exact placement of the home, how it's going to look and fit. You have the general measurements, so you know that it will fit on the lot, but the exact placement a lot of times happens after the home is put into place here, before it's all tied down. So when it's set, you can say, well, I want it back a little bit, or that the front swung over this way a little bit, looks a little bit better this way or that way, so you have some leeway here. Yep.
So in the movers, you were indicating that they go by a positioning of a back stake. So in this case, guys, we've got these bushes back here. Some of these bushes where that juniper is, right in the middle right there, we're thinking we're probably going to trim that back 3 or 4 feet and then put a stake. Actually, right, can you point to that dandelion right there? Right to your right?
Right over here.
Yep. Yep. So in other words, right about there would be the back point as far as the corner. At least that's approximately where it would be. And then Jerry's consideration about how close it has to be to the pedestal is the thing also. Just think parallelogram here. We've got a little funny corner right up here that we're trying to accommodate, so we have a walkway on the front of the house that isn't going to be encroaching on the neighbor, and vice versa right up there. So the positioning of the front of the house is defined by the positioning of the back of the house in relationship to the pedestal. Right,
and the only real concern I'm going to have is how far away from the back of the lot, or let's see, the greens, where you have a room to walk, how far in is the house going to be in relationship to how far up on the lot. But when I have that close, all I have to do is have that measurement, and it can vary a little bit, because once again, the distance to the back of the lot, or my walkway distance, let's say it's 6 feet for talking, wherever that point is, I'm going to be able to move this position a little bit, which will move the entire house, in or out on the front end 3 or 4 feet. So this is the only point that I have to say for the movers. I want the back end of the house real close to right here to start. And then the movers can actually adjust the home before it's finally set. And then after they leave, the setup crew, additionally, with their jacks and rollers, they can make a more exact positioning of the house on the lot. So you don't have to necessarily stake it very, very carefully and everything, because it may not fit exactly. So you just have a couple of points to work with, and the rest is geometry.
Yeah, and one of the considerations, guys, thank you, Jerry. One of the considerations in this case also in Washington State is how far back it is from a neighbor's porch. So for instance, on this corner of this porch right here, we have to be 6 feet back from that. So we've measured that to get an approximation of where that is. And the same thing with this neighbor's porch right here, we have to be 6 feet back, which we're easily 6 feet back on this side. But the other side, not so much. And so you have to kind of play around with the geometry a little bit. And this is where, paying attention in geometry class was a good idea, because You'll be able to work with a parallelogram a little better. But that's basically the whole drill, guys. This is a kind of standard methodology in terms of looking at a lot and figuring out the size that lot will accommodate, when also calculating the relative necessary setbacks, and that varies from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. So you'll want to check on that in your area. Check on that with the park manager, because the park manager should be able to give you a good idea of that as well. So that's it for lot placement today. Thanks for tuning in.